Head over to miniaturemarket.com where they have thousands of board games at discounted prices, and you can sign up for product alerts. Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. This is a relatively new series where I'm talking about games that, well, in 2020 was a weird year, and we got a chance to play some of the old games that we hadn't played in a long time. Some of them were like, this isn't good as I remember, but others are like, wow, why don't I play this more? I totally forgot how amazing this game is. That's this series. It's the best games I forgot about, and the games on this series are still able to be found. Now, they're not completely out of print. There's some places that still have them in stock, but you're probably gonna have to look a little bit harder maybe for them, but here we go. So today we're talking about Final Touch. This is a card game for 2 to 4 players where you're trying to put the final touch on paintings. Let me give you a quick 1-minute overview of how the game works, and I'll tell you why this is one of the best games I forgot about. Final Touch is a card game for 2 to 4 players where you're trying to be putting the final touches on a specific painting. On your turn, you'll either be adding as many paints that match as you like, or you can be smearing the painting by adding colors that are not there or ones that are already fulfilled. If you're good and you're the last person to put the final touch, you get to flip it over and get the points on the back. You're trying to be the first to have 25 points. However, if you're the third person to smear something, well then these half the points you normally would get because you ruined the painting would go to the other player or players. And the paintings range from easy of just 4 colors all the way up to 12, and if you play with 4 players, you play as teams. All right, well there is Final Touch. Again, if you want to learn a little bit more in depth of how the game works, the full review I've linked in the description of this video so you can check that out. The reason why this was one of the best games I've forgot about is because it's definitely easily accessible. People are familiar with card games, and it's basically a hand management card playing game. You've got cards, colors and symbols, you're trying to play them, be the last one to play the last thing, and you get the card. Easily accessible, easy to teach. It's like a game of chicken because you're like jockeying for position and you don't want to set up your opponent for them to be able to take the big score. So it's like this, you're going to the edge hoping they don't have the card that will finish it or the cards, and it is a little game of chicken of how close you can go without letting the other opponent score the big points and get it. So for that reason, you have to know when to sort of waste or smear those cards. Again, every painting only has 3 cards that you can smear. So it's like a little bit of a back and forth trying to figure out when to waste the cards and when not to. And actually, one of the best decisions and the most fun in this game is figuring out when to just give your opponent the card by smearing it the 3rd time and just like, you know what, I'll give you the 4 points. I don't want to risk giving you the 8 points by, setting you up for maybe you have the 2 cards that would have been needed. So it's like, and also looking at the total score and be like, well, if I give them the half points, we have to at least play 1 more round. That'll give me a shot for the win. It's a great decision-making process in this. I like that you're looking ahead to the next painting for planning, because a lot of times you'll have these cards in your hand, you're like, oh, I gotta smear one. Well, which one should I smear? Well, the next card doesn't even use brown. I'll get rid of this brown card. Or, things like that. And I like that you can kind of look forward 1 card, and that does help you in the decision making of the game. Good forward planning for such a quick, easy game. The game scales well, but it does feel very different at each player count. 2 players is my favorite. 3 players is cool because as soon as you get to 3 players, when you smear something and the other player gets the lower point count, both other players get that. It kind of goes in between them and they share those, they both get those points. So it just ratchets up the tension even more. And then with 4 players, you're playing a partnership game so that you have a little less control, but you are working with someone, and it's still fun there too. The only negative I could really say about this is it is a card game. Card games can have a decent amount of luck in there, and sometimes you just can't get the right cards. And it can happen in this. But overall, I hope I've given you the reasons to show you why this game is one of the best games that I have forgotten about and am pleasantly happy with playing it again. And now it's back in the rotation, playing it over and over, and that is Final Touch. This has been the Game Boy Geek, breaking down barriers, growing relationships through board games by helping you find the next one you'll love. Lucky Duck Games has 4 new games available now. In the Court of Miracles, you lead a guild of beggars, scheme with sinister plots, and use trickery to build your own renown in an attempt to take over 16th century Paris. Baron Voodoo is an abstract strategy game involving the collection of thematic soul dice, and it made my top 10 most anticipated releases at Essen Spiel this year. Kingdom Rush Rift in Time is a tower defense with epic heroes that includes a campaign and an infinite replayability mode. It was hugely popular on Kickstarter, raising over $1 million. Chronicles of Crime 1400 is a standalone follow-up to the award-winning Chronicles of Crime, where you'll be solving 4 unique crimes in medieval Paris. These are all available in stores now, and you can learn more and order them at LuckyDuckGames.com.